Ramdev, you would have seen the monthly numbers for December. Would you continue to remain invested in the auto space, or do things like higher interest rates, etc., make you skeptical after their dream run in 2010?
Yeah, I think if interest rates rise further, in that case, the large ticket items like cars and trucks, they will definitely get impacted. But I mean, this December was one of the biggest mind-blowing number you have seen in recent times. Typically, December is the month when, for model changing and all, it is the weakest month. But some of the dealers were saying that it looks like Diwali month in December. So somehow the demand is very, very strong. And it is the full impact of good monsoon in terms of Rabi crop and all will flow in by first quarter or second quarter of this year. So I think auto will be one of the very strongly performing sector, and hence at least I will remain invested there.
You were relieved to see Hero Honda's details finally, because the media speculation had hammered the stock down, but what finally came out, you must have been quite relieved.
Yeah, I mean, I was generally thinking that it won't be that bad, and my bet was, I mean, we didn't know anything about what is going to come out of this deal, but going by the management's reputation and past conduct, one was sure that at least minority shareholders will not be completely sidelined and their interest will be compromised. And at the end of it, they wanted to drive a good deal. So that's what they've got. And it looks, I mean, still a lot of numbers are yet to come out. It looks broadly that royalty and other things, which were the main contentious issue, that has been taken care of. And management is very happy that Honda has its own say and they have their own kind of destiny charted out for themselves. So it's a new beginning for the company, and that too on a large base. So I think business potential is very high here. Next 4-5 years, we could scale up from 10 million bikes to 20-25 million bikes, and that's the opportunity. So I think there is space for everybody, and one will compete on its own merit. So I think it is going to be exciting.
Staying with autos, I mean, if you had to pick something outside the index or outside the very large cap names, between a TVS Motors and an Ashok Leyland, which one would you have more comfort in?
I would go with TVS. I mean, if you give me only two choices between Ashok Leyland and TVS, then TVS looks better.
Ramdev, you were talking about the frontline metal names. What about the natural resource plays like a Gujarat NRE Coke or Sesa Goa? Their international prices seem to be heading higher.
Yeah, I think Sesa Goa is the kind of volumes they have. They are very well positioned to make a lot of money. So Sesa Goa, I don't know enough about Gujarat NRE Coke, but Sesa Goa is definitely Sesa Goa, Hindustan Zinc. I mean, these companies, even Coal India, I think these companies are, because of this Australian rains and all, the coal prices just going through the roof. There's a complete tightness in the marketplace. So the opportunity for all these resource-led companies is very good. I mean, right now it might be temporarily very high, but I think through the year also, it looks to be heading for a good performance.
Ramdev, you were talking about telecom earlier, and a lot of people seem to believe that now the beaten down stocks will come back. Telecom's been a beaten down sector. Within that, ADAG Group company, Reliance Communication, has been a real laggard. For percentage gains in a bounce back, would you play RCom or would you still stick to a Bharti?
So definitely allocation is there in the Bharti, and that's what we are sticking to, because there are still so many uncertainties are there. Now we are talking about completely new telecom policy. So what will be the new rules of the game? It will be completely reframed. So of course it will be very transparent and hopefully predictable. But still it's a new game. So how things are going to shape up only after the policy announcements one can say. But the companies which are very profitable and who can sustain on their own, and on the other side the companies which are not having scale benefits and they are actually not making money, or they have not made money in recent times. I mean, it's not very clear whether they can come back and make money unless the companies which are making profit, they start making very high levels of profit. So I would still stick with the guys who are successful.
You were talking about steel earlier. What about another global commodity like sugar? How would you play that now?
Yeah, sugar has one unique problem in India, that you don't own the cane. So what happens is that your cane price is completely open, and the moment there is a bargaining power with the farmers, they ask for some exorbitant price, and the mills, they have to pay that because it's very political. And on the selling price, on the reverse, they're not able to realize because it's a inflation sensitive kind of thing. So you get worst of both the worlds. One, you have to sell at lower price, and you have to buy cane at any price. So I think if you look at last 10-15 years, this entire industry has not made any money, though sugar is a very large kind of corporate commodity. And yet companies are deep into debt, and it's not because of this year's drought or next year's anything. It is just that the structure of the industry is not very exciting in India.